You know, a lot of times when you're doing something, and we're going to go ahead and use this as an example, doing body work on an old classic restoration car, or possibly doing a collision repair and only replacing the fender. There's a lot of stuff that, what can I say, is overlooked, or possibly, well, I don't need to do that because you're not going to see it anyway type situation. But then in the long run, it's whatever you don't do is basically what is noticed, if that makes any sense. What I'm doing here now, this cowling was replaced, and when they replaced it, I guess they welded it in, and then down here in the corners, it was really, just looked like a total nightmare over here. And as I'm doing body work, I go around the whole car and I find every little spot, whether it's in here or whether it's over here. And the reason I do that is because when you're working on the car, you're telling yourself, well, they ain't gonna see that because that's gonna be covered. Well, the eyeball actually tricks your mind into believing the car's beautiful until you actually come across here and you look at it and you say, oh wow, look at that, they didn't even fix that. And then what happens, it leads into other situations that arise. If we look down here on the transmission tunnel, there was a piece down here where the owner cut that out and he welded it in, then he grounded it down. Now of course the motor's going to be in here, the transmission's going to be in here, but when they open the hood up and they're over here admiring this engine, that eyeball is going to go over here. Do you see what's going on? This is the big picture. This is my peripheral view or receptive view here. I'm looking at that and I'm seeing that that looks like shit. And I'm also catching this down here where you can see all the weld marks underneath it, and it leads into saying whoever did this car did a crappy job. And that kind of work leads back to you, the guy doing the work. So to get a closer look at what's going on here, here's where our cowling was put back on, and then down here in the corner, I guess it was really hard to grind that down and to clean it out properly. So what I did is I went ahead and took some Evercoat and I smoothed that out, and then what's going to happen is when we prime that little area right there, that'll all flow together and it'll all look like this. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to be a perfectionist at what you do because that's what you do. And to get a reputation of being that guy, you have to do what it takes to prove to people that you don't mess around. What we're looking at here, we're going to be looking at a video set of attention to detail. The car that's used in this video set, the owner of the vehicle doesn't really realize all the work involved in what goes into a job like this. And this is a prime example. The video that we are making right here is a prime example that people don't see the inner structure, the inner skeleton of what really goes into a hard day's work. Watch, listen, and learn as we find out that attention to detail is in your benefit to keep pride on your shoulder and to keep you satisfied with having a clean conscience, even when people disrespect you and what can we say, treat you very viciously when you are giving them, quote unquote, the buddy deal. Here's that little transmission area I was just talking about, and you can see where there's body work done to it, where I put some Bondo / Evercoat over it to cover that up. So that way, when the engine is in the car and the motor's in the car, it will look all flow together, and it won't catch the eye of telling you that something's going on here. Let's look at the rest of the car. Now, here's another little small example we can go ahead and kind of gander at. Is you can see where I went ahead and I seam sealed this area up right here. So if we look right here, you can see where I went ahead and I seam sealed this in as well. And then what goes over this here is a threshold. There's a threshold plate that covers that, so you won't see it. But what will happen is moisture will gather down behind that, okay, and debris and water, and then what happens, it'll get behind this panel and it'll start rusting this out. So being, what can I say, technical about your work and being proud of what you do will pay off in the end, not just for the customer, but you yourself, giving you the confidence and the compatibility to go to sleep at night telling yourself you did a good job. Now, I went ahead and seam sealed this as well, and this is where the quarter panel and the rocker panel meet on these particular cars, and you can see where I did my body work. Now, from the factory, that would have been leaded in. That wouldn't have been done like that. But the way that we did it, we went ahead and used Bondo on it. And then on the top here, I went ahead and seam sealed that in. And then I'll probably go back and take some 80 grit and feather all that out and smooth it out. And I might even go ahead, while I'm at it, and add a little bit of Evercoat to that just to give it that nice clean look. Now, up here on this rear Dutchman panel is what they call it. I call it a rear sail panel or cowling, whatever. But on this particular piece right here, the owner started the body work on that, and it looked like crap. Now, he thought that it looked okay, and his angle of it was, you know, let's just go ahead and go with it, do the best you can, and be done with it. Being my friend Pete, I went ahead and removed all the crap that he put in there completely, and I started over because it looked like shit. And in the end, I don't care if the owner did the body work, I did the body work, or some other guy did the body work. If I'm painting this car, I'm the one right here that's going to get blamed for it because I'm the one that did the final job to it. And that right there, what you just saw right there, that right there, that's the real story. That's the real action. I'm the last person that worked on it. No matter what anybody else did to it, I'm the guy that painted it, color sand, buffed it, everything. So it doesn't matter what's wrong with it, I'm the one that's going to get blamed for it. Because that is what it's like running a small business. Whether the owner did the body work and told me, just leave it like it is, you know, we're not looking for a show car, we're not looking for a concourse restoration, we just want it painted and it looking nice. In the end, they want that thing fucking perfect. I don't care what they say. Believe me, I know all about it from that car right there. So, in my position of being a shop owner like I am and doing the work that I need to do, when you take on a job like this that somebody else has already worked on, you got to really watch your P's and Q's and do it right. Now, me and Minnie, the body shop girl, worked on this car all day yesterday and all day the day before. And today was supposed to be prime day. Today was supposed to be the day that we actually put the primer on the car and be done with it. Because I want to get the engine compartment painted, I want to get the trunk painted, and the door jambs and everything else. But as it looks, we're not going to be doing that today, because every time I turn around, I'm finding something else that needs to be fixed. Something else that needs attention, because I'm the guy that's got my name all over it in the end, and I want to make sure that my name doesn't get splashed as a bad reputation. So this video is basically about, following through, not just with what you do, but using your common sense and using the ability to realize that when you're in a business like this, that you got to take pride in yourself and you got to be able to do it right. And that's basically what this little section right here is that when somebody is looking at that engine like this and checking out this classic car, they aren't going to go like this, and this corner of their eyeball is going to hit that and say, what? Look at this rust over here. Look at this rot. Look at whatever's going on here, and going to lead into other things like this right here that they might catch. You see, last night when I got done working and I seam sealed this in, I thought, okay, I'm done. But then when I got outside here and I actually got a look at it outside instead of in my shop, I'm telling myself, damn, I can't let that fly like that. I can't let that stay that way, because that looks pretty tacky. And if I put paint on that, it's going to look all rough and ugly, and you're going to open the door right here in this area, and it's going to look stupid, and it's going to look like somebody, took their finger and went like that and said, hey, there you go, buddy. And, it's just not fair to the customer, but who it's really not fair to is you. Because you're the guy that has to live with that reputation of when that door does open up and they see this, who did that? I want to know. Wow. I'll remember not to take my car to him. And you can see, once again, it doesn't take long to, fix the problem. All it takes is a little bit longer. And what do we have on our hands more than anything else? Time. Time is what we have. I got some caulking to do right here. Also on the other side, I think I'm going to go ahead and fill this in with a little bit of Evercoat. I don't like the way that actually looks. Like I said, if somebody opens the door and they see that, that's going to look tacky. So let me get all this done and concentrate on not just doing the right job, but covering my ass so my reputation stays top. All right, so we were talking about attention to detail. Now, I went ahead and painted partial inside of the car. Let's take a look at it, and we're going to focus on the attention to detail areas where I was telling you about. So if we walk up to the car, you can see, here's that area that I was showing you right here on this little downturn. And if you look in here, look what we got. See how nice and clean that looks? And it looks just like uniform, like it was made that way, and nothing is happening to it. If we come over here, here's the same thing. We come down on the downturn and right into that valley, and it looks factory original with no surprises whatsoever. So this is basically where you get to the point of the job and you're telling yourself, wow, that really came out awesome. I really love it. I'm excited. I'm doing an awesome job. I'm doing a beautiful job. And you're not expecting the owner of the vehicle to find something wrong with it, because you know in your heart that you did the right thing. Now, one factor that plays into this whole little story of attention to detail is price, money. All right, how much did the owner pay you to do all this work? Did you do more work to the car itself than the owner paid you? But if you're a person that has a conscience and is very proud and takes pride in what he does, those type of actions don't ever cross your mind, because you just want the best job that you can give the person that owns the vehicle. Did I mention that you didn't ever think that the owner would bitch and complain, moan and groan? That you have done everything you could to make this job the best job in the world? I think I did. If we look at the transmission tunnel, you can see a little bit of a remnants where the bodywork or where the action was right in that area there. But what we've done is we cleaned all that up and we blended everything in and molded it all in, that when the motor is in the car, you won't even notice anything was done to it. And then what Minnie's doing over here, I guess, what are you doing, sanding around the hinges? Yeah. Even though those won't be seen, we're still going to do it in the proper way, right?
Still got to sand it.
Yeah. And then we're going to come over here behind Minnie, and if we look right here, I don't know if you can see right here, but I went ahead and seam sealed this in just like I said I was going to do to give it that factory original look. And I also filled in that big gap that we saw where the quarter panel meets the rocker panel area. So all that's been attention to detail, and when we get that painted, it's going to look just like factory, and your eye won't be attracted to it to make you start looking at other stuff. So while Minnie's in there getting door jambs done, what I've been doing is I've been working on these doors. Now, these doors, if you look close, these have been soda blasted and stripped to bare metal, so all the rust has been killed. But we had some rust on this lip here that turns over. This is our door skin, and you can see this is the door skin, and then the lip would roll around, and then of course it's all pinched together right here. And we had some mild surface rust right in this area here. Now, I also want you to pay attention to what we're looking at. We're looking at the bottom of the door here. It's really not a necessity that I go ahead and detail this bodywork out on this lip right here, because this is the bottom of the door. Nobody's going to get down on their hands and knees to look at the bottom of the door. Another thing is you can see all these holes right here. All these holes are for the door rubber. So the door rubber is going to be covering most of all this right here. And this is where the situation comes in. It says, is my reputation worth the work that I do? Let's go ahead and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to that to detail it out before we paint it. So the first thing I did to prep this up so I can repair it is I went ahead and used my cutting wheel. I went to where the surface rust was and I cleaned out all of that gunk and goop that the soda blaster wouldn't remove. And then after that, I came back with my 3-inch roller lock and then I sanded it down. The way that we are going to the way that we're going to fix this after we prepared it is I'm going to go ahead and take some polyester filler. I'm going to go ahead and mix that up, and you can see that I'm using a Bondo spreader with this. We want to make sure that it's all mixed up thoroughly. We don't want any streaks or swirls in it. And then what I'll do is I'll take my filler and then I will go ahead and fill that in just like this. And I don't want to get down here where it rolls. I just want to do this top lip here. That's it. I don't want to fill that in because we're trying to keep it to the factory specs. And if we put it in where it doesn't need to be, it's going to take a little while to clean that out, and also it's not going to look right. You'll be able to tell something's funny. And you don't have to do this on every single car, but on a particular car like what we're working on here, you really want to pay attention to detail. And even if you aren't working on a car like this and you want to rely on your reputation to do all the talking, it's best to go ahead and take your time, that extra minute, I might say, to do the job necessary that needs to be done. And then if you kind of look down here, you can see what we're talking about. The rust was killed on this, but it left imperfections that was from surface rust, or should I say, yeah, that's it, surface rust. And what we're doing now, we're just going back, we're detailing it out, and we're going to make it look normal. And then once our polyester filler dries, what we're going to do is clean that edge off, just like this. We're going to feather it all out nice and neat. And what I'm using here, I'm just using 80 grit to do it with. And then I'm going to take a red Scotch-Brite, and what that's going to do, that's going to clean it all up and give it a nice smooth finish on that edge right here. And I'm talking about the edge of the door skin. Clean the edge of the door skin itself off. The inner edge, take our sandpaper. And then I'll go ahead and take some 180 and I'll finish it off with that. And you can basically see in a matter of minutes what you've done is you've detailed that door out and you've made it look like factory new. We had a little bit of a problem right here. Let me get that out of the way.